So I bought this bad boy not too long ago, this Orca, and I was looking at it and trying to measure it. I'm going to make this video quick because I know that some of these videos get really long, so I'm going to try to make it really quick here. So got 15 inches on the measurement on that side. Lengthwise, we got it roughly about 31, if you give it some space, 30 and a half. So I thought, you know what can I get for this thing for wheels? And I started Googling it, YouTubing, and there's a lot of people out there that have come up with some fantastic ideas. So I looked at Harbor Freight, and Harbor Freight has some casters for $12 to $15 without bolts. And then I thought, okay, then I'm gonna have to buy a base for it and so forth. So I thought, you know what, I'll just buy this. Okay, so I measured this at the store, and I thought, wow, okay, full 33 5/8, 15 3/4, right? 5.5 inch deck. So has all these parts in it, bolts, everything for the wagon, of course. And then the base of that is actually 15 total from side to side. So the length is great, but the width is okay, but the length is not. So what I had to do is, okay, what do? Do I take this back to the store, or do I figure something else out? These here are slip resistant mats that are being used on the top, and it has adhesive on one side. So I'm going to use this just to, you know, have on top, so I can put things on top of it and it won't move around and slide. So anyway, so I came up with an idea. So I'm going to show the end product, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use the red part. I'm going to show you what I do, and I'm going to use all the other pieces. And this thing right here was $65, and they have their normal Harbor Freight 20% off any item. So 20% off. I thought, okay, cool. So I got it for like $51, $52 for all these pieces. And these are all terrain tires. So anyway, I will carry on with the product, and I'll show you what the finished product will be when we get to the base of this thing, and we'll go from there. I measured this bottom portion to size, and I've had some 1/2 inch plywood that I just happened to have in the garage, and what I decided to do is go ahead and cut it out and just kind of circle the sides there a little bit, as you can see. And now I'm painting it with Killz just to get it a good seal and make it weatherproof as much as possible. Really, it's not going to get wet too much unless I take it over some water, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and put some Killz on it and a coating on there just to make sure it stays dry. So just some little modifications so that you know. I haven't bolted that down yet, but as you can see on the wood piece, I am laying it out to drill the holes. These are the bolts that came with it. As you can see on this piece right here, it's capped off at the top, so you're not going to be able to go any lower than that. So I had some of these laying around. I'm not sure what the size is, but just so you know, if you do buy the entire Harbor Freight wagon, you're going to have to replace these. Now this here obviously came with it also, and this is part of the wagon as well. And I greased the inside of that just a little bit, just so it flow nice and easy. So when that bolts down as well, we'll see what that looks like. So the modification I made so far is putting the wheels on, and I have not bolted this in yet, but you can see I have centered this to the bottom. I've put the holes and marked the holes. As you can see, I marked them, and now I'm going to drill them out, and we're going to mount everything and get everything in order to try to test this thing. So so far, this is what it looks like. Not bad. It's very key to make sure you get this centered because you don't want it to be lopsided. So as you can see, so make sure you do that. Here's all the holes drilled and all the pieces of the wagon. It looks like I won't be using all the pieces, obviously, but the smaller pieces is what I'm going to use for these parts. And you're going to have extra pieces, of course. I'm going to use extra washers on the outside of these things, so I might as well utilize what I can. And then you're going to have leftover pieces, and I'll show you. So here's the end result. As you can see, the handle, the wagon parts, they're bolted on. The bolts are, as you can see right here, are the longer ones. I thought I was going to use the smaller ones, but as you can see that they wouldn't go through, and that's 1/2 inch plywood, as you can see. And it's all the way around using all the bolts, and all the extra bolts that I had, I just doubled up the bolts on each of the on each of the slots or the screws. So anyway, I went ahead and did all that and combined them and used all the parts as much as I could and utilized it. Now the strapping part is next of the final assembly. As you can see, bolts, some of the washers, some of the bolts were left over, and still got the red part and the sides of the red wagon from Harbor Freight. Here's the wagon without the Orca on it. As you can see, you can move around just like you would the wagon, as you can see. So we're down to the last few things and few items of the cooler cart, as you can see with the wheels. These are the pieces that are from the wagon, as we discussed. Two additional pieces I ordered that cost me some money was these brackets right here, which were about $13 at Amazon, and they go on the side. I'll show you. Of this. So it comes a bracket holder each side, as you can see. Now, there's 4 of these with wing nuts on these and lock washers, and I'll show you why I did that. And there's holes on each side, and the reason is because now I've made this in a strap. And I'm going to tell you, all the excess of pieces that were from the wagon, I've used them, and then I had to add some, so you know, you're gonna have to dig around or go to Harbor Freight and get some cheap bolts. They're not very expensive for, you know, entire box for them. Again, use a coupon. And then I have an extra strap that actually I'm going to cut up and use for the final assembly. So this bad boy is going to have its own wheels here shortly. And as you can see, I also had to use some extra bolts. This is not the way it's supposed to be assembled, but I still got the wagon parts. I'm like, you know what, I could probably get some use out of that. That is why I have these bolts with the wing nuts, and we'll show you that as well. I'm all about multi-purposing, so if there's some pieces left, I'm going to try to use it. So from the wagon, I wasn't going to use the red part at all because, if you recall, the measurements weren't right. So I went ahead and assembled it. Now I did have to use some extra pieces that I had in my tools and everything. So I did put some more extra bolts and some washers on here because I ran out, because I used it for the base of the wagon. So anyway, this is the reason why there's holes drilled in here. It's because you're going to put the wing nuts inside those things, and actually you can have the wagon still use it. If not, take the wagon off and put the cooler on, and it becomes the cooler wagon. And the cool thing is, I'll show you the final assembly and what it's going to look like with the strap. And actually, you can actually put that on top of the cooler for hauling other things. So here's the final assembly of the cart, using the brackets that I bought and a strap that I've used. And as you can see, I went underneath the cart itself with the strap, and I came on the other end. What I did here, so you see, is I cut this, but I burnt the end of it so it stays firm and doesn't frail. And if you can see also, I just put a little clip on the end of that, a regular paper clip that you get at Office Supply, and had that in the office itself just to keep it from hanging down. And it comes to the other side of the clip, it just runs underneath the cart, underneath the wood part. And this part here, came with the idea of, had a small bungee cord right here, and all you have to do is run that bungee on the other side of this. I just apologize for the video, I'm trying to do this one-handed, but you just run that here, and I'll show you here in a second. I'll phase into another part of the video and show. All right, so I put the bungee here, as I was just showing you, on the other side. As you can see, it keeps the hand pull cart, by just putting it up here, keeps it up there, and it stays up there. So if I'm using it, I can pull it, right? And if I'm not, it'll just go slide right back into place to keep it from, keep it in place onto the cart. So as you can see, and then of course I got my $5 adhesive top here. The reason why I put that there is if I ever need the cart, the bottom part of this cart, right here, keep it from sliding. Now, of course, you may want to put some straps down on that if you want to. I mean, you could do that based on just putting a hook right here. You can use any strap you want, of course, and you can actually, you don't even have to buy these hooks. You can probably just go through them and use that if you want to. As a matter of fact, I tested this and it closed okay, but I just went ahead and made the purchase of those. So, as you can see, then you can haul whatever you want to on the top of that as well and keep it from sliding. But of course, you may want to strap that down just a little bit and keep it secure. And you can do that probably from on this side and strap it to this if you want to. But this is the short video of this. My cart thing rolls perfectly, no problems whatsoever. Doesn't have ice in it yet, but I'm sure I'm not going to have any problems with it. But not bad for a purchase of $52 on a Wagon.